My next guest is Richard Walsh, former Marine Corps champion boxer, black belt, CEO of Sharpen the Sphere. You're a author and most importantly, father of 6 children. And thank you very much for joining me today. I'm excited to jump into your career and your story.
Awesome. Tim, thanks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is great.
I like to kind of figure out people's backstory a little bit, if you wouldn't mind kind of introducing yourself. And I want to get to the Marine Corps because I'm a former veteran, so that hit
Awesome.
home with me.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So growing up, just kind of grew up in the golf course construction business. So I was working on the golf course. My father ran them, built them and ran them. So that was kind of cool as a kid. So I knew how to work early. I was really good with a shovel and a pick. Kind of went through that. School wise, sports, I was like cross country and track, odd for a guy my size, but I like to run. So I did that pretty well. I was real good at that. Then went to Marine Corps at 17,
Right.
and that was great. Did that, got out in like 87, and then started doing what I knew, swinging a pickaxe, digging trench for a cable company. That's
Oh, nice.
for $5 an hour. Yeah, it's very exciting, Tim. All day swinging a pick. It was great. The cool thing with that, Tim, was yeah, it's $5 an hour in the 80s, it still sucked. Okay. So I'm loving money. I was working at a bar at night, trying to be a doorman and stuff, doing all that too to make up. But a guy asked me to do a side gig once. He had like 35 tons of this granite, like a crushed granite, needed wheelbarrowed from the street to the backyard and spread. So I said, I could do that, So I spent my last like $85 in a wheelbarrow and a shovel before payday, Showed up on a Saturday. This is Tucson, Arizona. It was like 100
Okay.
degrees.
Oh, man.
And I knocked it out in about 10 hours. And the best part, Tim, was he put $1,000 in my hand for that job.
Ooh. Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Now, and I'm like, dang, I did this yesterday for $50.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was kind of my clue to get into business. I'm like, I know my future. So I got into landscaping, which turned into custom water features. So waterfalls, ponds. Then I added steel sculpture to that. Just wanted to do it. Started creating this really cool stuff that kind of went with the water features and standalone. Ended up doing some world class exhibits, right?
Oh,
So I also am internationally recognized as a steel sculptor and water feature guy. That was going really great for about 20 years. And then 0809 hit and everything kind of collapsed around me and my business too. So I lost my entire business in '09, and it was pretty bad. I had 6 small children at the time, a wife, of course, lost a house, lost a business. Kind of that went on, had to relocate and start over. That was a challenge. I knew I didn't want to do what I was already doing, So for me, Tim, it's always all or nothing.
mhm.
I'm not a halfway guy at all. Right. So I had built over 1,000 water features and done all this stuff. And, you know, the real reason the business collapsed is because of things I didn't do in business. Right. So at that time, I was just out front, you know, being published and doing all this cool stuff and getting accolades and building the next great thing. And I really wasn't paying attention to the store, if you will. Right. And so that was really the demise on that. But I didn't want to do it again. So I had to go and start over. So we relocated, got set up, just started figuring out what I want to really do. I like training people. I love fitness. I like doing all that stuff, right? Part of my Marine Corps background and from school, and started doing that. And I said, well, I'll go be a trainer somewhere. They'll give me something to do, So I went and started being a trainer at Anytime Fitness. They're all over the place. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
next thing you know, it's like a year later, I'm trainer of the year. And I
Nice.
built this whole program stuff. So you know what that means for an entrepreneur, right? Got to go
Oh,
open my
yeah.
own gym. So I
Yeah.
went up my own gym, boot camp style training. That was really great. Did that. That was a lot of fun. But I really tried to do it right this time, so it didn't consume me and kind of become who I was. So I got great trainers, got people in, started building systems and programs, doing that for a bunch of years, and then I got into a contracting business as well, doing roofing, siding, windows. That was really good. And then at the same time, I wrote a book called Escape the Owner Prison, which is the contractor's new way to scale, regain control, and fast track growth while loving life. Because I was mentoring these business owners because they're like, hey, how'd you do what you did? I mean, being so good, that losing
Mhm.
everything and starting over. So I started showing them, but I started seeing the same patterns in every business and why they weren't able to scale, why they were kind of failing. And so I wrote a book about it, weaved my story in it, and then showed some fundamentals and stuff like that to help people escape that owner prison, right? If they don't open the door, kind of business doesn't happen, right? So wanted not to be a people dependent business, especially on the owner. So did that, created an academy around that, started coaching, started doing business coaching. Again, back to the entrepreneurial viewpoint, mentoring is kind of free. You're giving free advice and helping people out. Coaching, you get paid.
Yeah.
So I said, I will be a coach. So I became a coach in a few iterations of the business, and here we are at Sharpen the Spirit Coaching now.
Oh man, you got quite the journey you've been on so far. So I want to hear a little bit about all of these things, if you don't mind. You're 17 years old. What made you sign up for the Marine Corps? Did you have any family in the military?
No, actually I didn't. Tim, it's kind of goofy, but I was 13. I was a pretty big kid. I was like 6', 180. I tried to enlist at 13. I went in the recruiter's office like, man, I am ready. And the guy, he's talking to me for like a minute. And he looks at me, he goes, so how old are you? And I go, well, I'm 13, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah. You probably were.
Yeah, I was. He gave me some stickers. So you come back when you graduate high school, we'll get you right in. So yeah, 4 years later, I went back. Actually just called him up I was working at a golf course right after high school in the summer. And I'm like, this isn't the future either. So I just went on my break. I called the local recruiter, said, hey, I want to join. And he goes, okay, well, what are you doing now? I go, well, I'm working. He goes, what time do you get off? I go, 3:00. He goes, see you at 3:15.
All right.
And I went in, did the ASVAB, and next 3 weeks later, man, I'm in boot camp. So it was,
wow.
It was something,
Your parents signed away for you?
Well, it was a little rough. My mother wanted any branch but the Marine Corps.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Come on, what's wrong?
That's right. My older brother was in the Army, so he has been in like a year. He's a year older than me. And so I'm like, well, I can't. I have to be the best.
Yeah,
so
you had to one up him.
Right. Well, I just
take it easy.
That's right. So, and this is a testament to recruiters as salesmen. I think they're the best. Like if you're looking for a salesman, find a recruiter who's getting out.
100%.
So 2 of them came to the house, Tim. Each one sat on each side of her on the couch and browbeat her for like 3 straight hours. She finally signed. Finally, and she signs, goes crying in her bedroom. I'm like, I'm in. Going,
That's
so I
awesome.
can't be stopped. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty funny. Pretty funny.
How'd you get into the boxing program?
So I got out of the Corps, and then I was working, like I said, I hit a friend at a bar. I was working at night as a manager at a bar, and he boxed. His name was Dave, nicknamed Crazy Dave. So you can get an idea who he is.
So he's a Crazy Dave. I got a neighbor. Hopefully he's not watching.
Well, Crazy Dave's from England. He was the South London kickboxing champion. Now he's a boxer and he's boxing. So I said, I want to box. Well, come on down to the gym. So I went down to the gym and we got in the ring my first day. I've never had the gloves on. I get in the gym and he's like, give you an idea. He's like 6'4", about 240, about 10% body fat. Plays with 350 on the bench, just playing with 350. Ooh. So I'm like, okay. So I get in there and the first round of the bell rings and I'm chasing. I can't lay a glove on him. I'm chasing him around, Tim. It's hilarious, right? I look like a complete goof, but I'm like, and then he just stops and he looks at me and then pop, he throws a jab, boom, right in the nose, breaks my nose.
Oh,
I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay.
Welcome
So I
to
keep
boxing.
going. Yeah, I keep going. And then he's looking at me again. He's just waiting. And then pop, he throws a left hook. I kid you not, Tim, my mouthpiece out of my mouth, out of the ring and across the gym. Okay. So some little kid comes running back up and hands it to me through the ropes, and I'm like, dang, man. So I'm bleeding everywhere. The round gets done. We kind of stop. We get through about less than 2 rounds. And I do the quick nose blow, which gives me 2 black eyes. Right?
Jeez.
So like, so we go to work. I go to work that night, at the bar, and the general manager comes in. He's like, what happened to you? And I'm like, well, I'm sparring with Dave. Because what? You can't do that, be looking like that working here. I go, well,
yeah.
Then I'm going to quit because I'm going back tomorrow. I'm going to get better at this. So that was kind of my thing. And that kind of started my whole journey on boxing. Became a champion, gold gloves,
wow.
ABF, all that kind of stuff in a couple of years. That was awesome. And then I broke, in my last gloves fight, I broke the cheekbone. So the whole orbit here got busted. It was like 10 seconds into the fight. Okay, so bell rings. I'm the favorite. I said, knock this other dude out. I'm doing all this stuff. 10 seconds, the guy throws a cheesy uppercut. I kind of slip it. And then I'm like, wow, I can't feel the whole left side of my face. So I just took a knee real quick and they counted me out. And this dude thinks he did something, all acting like he beat me. I'm like, dude, really?
Yeah.
But I go to the ring doctor. This is hilarious because if you know anything about amateur sports, they're amateur. Okay. Yeah. But you get the ring doctor. And we had a big resort all these tables, people were around. George Foreman was there. It was really
Oh,
cool
wow.
back in the day, and I'm like, Doc, I can't feel the side of my face. He looks at it and he's drinking like a scotch on ice.
Yeah,
Okay.
the doc.
He goes, yeah, you broke your orbit here. And he finishes drink. He finishes that and gives me the glass with the ice in it. He goes, put that on it and go to the hospital.
Oh, perfect.
That
Thanks,
was
doc.
so I'm like, and that's what I did. I drove my truck to the hospital, got an ER, and all the stuff, and Monday I'm having surgery on my face. I had a total of 7 breaks, and my nose is
Ooh.
detached from my face. Okay,
Whoa.
over the years, right? So, and then this I got plates and wires in my face. Put all that back together, but and I know what you're thinking.
It was worth
How
it.
how could no, I'm thinking, how could I possibly be this pretty after that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you are a
Yeah,
handsome dude. I like the
right,
hair.
right.
I mean,
That's right. I got it all going. So, but yeah, it was really, so that was the end of boxing. Okay.
yeah.
So it's like, I was not going to box again after that. So, um, that's when I really started getting into business from that point, but boxing was awesome. I love it. I train people still. I train my son. He's in the Marine Corps now.
All
Trained him to
right.
box, got him boxing. He wanted to box and stuff. So, done a lot of great things in those
Yeah.
areas. But yeah, that was the boxing thing. And I love the train. So boxing for me was like, the training was way better than the actual fights. I mean, I
Yeah.
sparred every day. I sparred 6 days a week. I was in throwing down like every day. And the fights were cool and it was great winning and everything else. But it really was, I really loved the train. Just that kind of daily suffering is kind of cool.
Yeah, they don't do boxing really like they used to. When I was a little kid, me and my brother, we had gloves and we would go for it, and he would just
Yeah.
punch me in the face over and over again.
Yeah.
But I could take a hit now.
That's right.
Or
That's right.
at least I could.
Yeah.
Um,
We all need to be able to take hits too.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got into business. You were doing landscaping and creating steel art. What does that entail? Are you welding stuff together, or how did
Yeah.
you get into that?
Yeah, so I'm making these water features. That's really cool. Boulders. I'm getting really good at that. And I'm like, I kind of just had this urge to like make something with metal,
Mhm.
because I used to do artificial stone. So I would put rebar together and I'd weld it and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
whatever. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna try to make some cool stuff. So I just made this huge, and I don't do small things. So I just
Yeah.
started with this big sculpture I was going to do, and it was a big like abstract lotus, and in the water for a show at Navy Pier, and really, I don't know, I just started teaching myself, started welding, getting better and better at it, putting the stuff together, putting in these shows, getting awards and all this stuff for what I did, and yeah, it was pretty wild. So that was just an evolution, just learning and doing. I'm really about imperfect action. Just
Mhm.
get started. I don't need, I'm not that guy. So uh I even did, I was doing a 28-foot tall steel Neptune.
Oh,
Okay. He's going to go in Navy Pier. It's going to be so cool. I'm working on this thing all winter and that and a bunch of other stuff. And it's massive, right? This thing is massive. It's coming. It's called Neptune Rising. It's Neptune on one knee. He's got a hand pulled back with a big steel trident. He's got the trident and stuff. And
yeah.
it's this big pump. They gushed all his water. So look, he's coming out of the ocean, right? So I'm making this, and then we're loading it on the lowboy, a big lowboy truck, right, to take it to Navy Pier to install it during the show. We got 2 days to set up, and I get this phone call. I kid you not, right as we're loading this thing on the lowboy, and they're like, we got a problem. We collapsed the floor. It's a second floor
Oh,
in Navy Pier, and they had piled too much sand and there's too much active movement, and it collapsed the floor down through the parking garage and into the Lake Michigan. So they're like, we don't know if we can do it. I'm like, are you kidding? He goes, yeah, I think the weight. And I'm like, but let us give us an hour, and they're trying to figure out how to be able to get this thing in there, because I have to have a crane and everything to put
yeah.
it in,
Oh, my
So
God.
they thought they could do it, and then they're like, oh no, the outriggers on the crane, that too much pressure in one spot. You know what I mean? So it's like, we can't
Yeah.
do it. I'm like, oh, and the crane operator, he had done all the sculptures for the Field Museum, Science Industry. He does a lot of their stuff. I'm like, well, dude, it's over. I got to do something now. He goes, what do you mean? I go, take it off the truck. Like, put it down. I'm going to cut it up. I got to make something
Oh,
really cool.
no.
So he's like, he was so bummed out. He's like, yeah, you can't do this. I go, dude, the show's got to go on. I got to have something in this giant thing I had. So I ended up cutting it in pieces and creating this whole different thing I could actually put in and stuff. It was a wild
Wow.
day. It was a wild day. And I worked like 3 days straight without sleeping to finish the project.
Adapt and overcome, buddy.
Got it done. I actually passed out in my garden. Somebody had to come wake me up.
Oh,
But I had domes. It's wild. It's too much to even talk about. But
yeah.
that was kind of that. So that was pretty amazing. And then the Shedd Aquarium in 2000, I think it was 2000, they commissioned me for a big project for John G. Shedd Aquarium in Chicago. And I was on Navy Pier. I made this thing for a new exhibit they were doing. That was on Navy Pier in front of the Tribune building on Michigan Avenue. I was on Michigan Avenue for like 6 months. Really cool. They sold that to Beaufort, North Carolina, raised this money. And then the Garfield Park Conservatory, which is the largest conservatory under glass in the country, is top 5 in the world. They're doing this huge exhibit called Sugar from the Sun, which is it's going to be the most cutting edge exhibit in the world on photosynthesis.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So the designer, they were calling me to do some water features in there because they knew about that. And my office manager said, well, he does steel sculpture too. And the designer's like, oh yeah. She goes, yeah, jump on the website. And he goes, this is exactly what I've designed. I can't find anyone who could do this.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, let's talk. So he came out and I laid this huge, it's amazing. I said, what's called Corten steel. That's a steel that gets a rust coating on it and lasts.
Yeah.
So I did the whole thing in that because it's supposed to last 100 years. It's a permanent exhibit. So I really cool did domes and tree planters and 60-foot canopy of steel trees that are actually kinetic and move, and did all the signage. I did everything, and just amazing. So that was really cool. And then everything ended. That was in 07.
I was going to ask. So you're trucking along. You're crushing it. You're huge deal, and then the financial crisis happens, and so everybody just stopped placing orders, or what happened there?
Yeah, November 5th, 2008. The day to remember. It was the day after the election.
Yep.
And I lost $500,000 on that day.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone's like, no, we're out. We're canceling contracts, and they weren't wrong.
Yeah.
Right? No one has to have a water feature. Okay.
No.
So so we know if you were around then, that first year and a half, all the way through 09, 10, no one spent anything.
Yeah.
It was a disaster. I mean,
except for me, I bought my first house right before it crashed.
It wasn't a foreclosure. You didn't buy a foreclosure?
No. If I would have waited 6 months, I would have got it for a third the price.
You could have had my house. I lost my house.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. So all that stuff. And I'm like, just one more good year, I would have been fine. Then all this stuff just snowballed. And the funny thing, Tim, was so I'm trying to limp through it. Now it's early 09. I'm trying to kind of limp through, like, can we save this? I'm doing a few things trying to save it. That didn't work, made things worse, of course. But then one day I woke up and I'm in bed and I'm just thinking about my 6 little kids. Now they're 4 and under, 6 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I got this whole gang, right?
How many twins you got there?
So basically 2 sets.
2 sets of twins. Wow.
There's a whole story behind it, but it's wild. So I was 6 in like 3.5 years, 4 years. But so I'm thinking though, I'm like, man, I'm working a lot. I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm like, think about my kids. Like, I come home and they run and crawl and attack me, love to be with me. When I left one day, my 4-year-old was running down the driveway crying behind my truck because I'm leaving. I'm looking at him in the rearview mirror. I'm kind of like, man, what am I doing? I'm like, I am chasing all this stuff. Business was always first. It was who I was, right? Always in the shirt, always had the hat, and everything else. And I said, you know what? And just truly, like, I had this epiphany that if I stay on this course, with these kids, now I'm 30, no, I was 40 something, whatever. I had my first
39.
child.
I watched your interview.
So I was like 39. We had our first child, right? So now it was a couple years after that. So whatever it was, 43. I'm thinking, if I stay on this course where business is everything, I mean, I sacrifice everything for the business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to be number one, to be up front. I said, my kids are going to grow up and they're going to have broken marriages and failed relationships, and they might be good at business, but everything else in their life's going to be trashed, right? So that was the day. I mean, I got in one office and shut it down.
Wow.
I just went and said, we're not doing this. I said, I'm not going to do that to my kids because, like, more is caught than taught, right?
Yeah.
So they'll only do what they see me do.
Yeah.
They're not going to do what I tell them.
You're touching a nerve with me, buddy. That's about 90% of the reason I'm doing this right now, because I'm the same way. I jump in a vehicle, I'm gone for 3 or 4 days during the week, and the tears are coming. My son's 5 years old. I'm 44. So I was 39 when I had my first kid. So that's why I remembered it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I'm like, man, I don't want to be gone away from my kids. It can't go so fast. I got a, 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and 44. So, I'm hanging on to that time, and it goes fast.
Oh, I'm telling you, my son's been in the Marine Corps for a year now.
Yeah.
He graduates MSG school in like 2 weeks. We're going down there for that in Quantico, but it does go so fast. So I flipped everything with that new business. So I really wanted it to be around. I don't want to be stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's a thing any man should do. No man should be doing that. But that's just my view. But what I wanted to be able to do is my wife needed me because we were homeschooling our kids. We're going to homeschool them all the way through. That was our intent from even before we had kids. And if she needed me, I could be home in 15 minutes. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I love to work. I love business. I love it, but I want to be able to, I don't want to be chained to it. I don't want to be in the prison. Right. So that was kind of the big catalyst for changing everything. And I'll tell you what, Tim, if you're able to do it, I hope you can completely achieve that, because the outcome, when I look at all my kids now as 20, 19, 18 years old, it's unbelievable who they are. That never would have happened if all of that didn't happen to me. Right. And then God give me that window to see what's going to happen in the future. And I just really leaned into that. And it was one of the best decisions ever, that happens.
You're looking back on 08, 09 and, all is lost. And it was probably the best thing that ever happened to you. And that seems to be how life goes. Has gone for me every time there's massive issues, a year later, 2 years later, you're like, damn, I'm glad that happened.
I just think it's important that's where perseverance and the resilience part comes in. You're always going to get punched in the face one way or another. I don't care if you're working a job or you have your own business or whatever it is, there's always going to be these setbacks. So I think the important thing is you got to, when you persevere and you just, I'm a little different. Maybe my decision to sell everything I had, every piece of equipment, because I owned everything, sell it all and go, that might have not been the best decision because I could have done side work, right? I could deliver materials. I got an excavator. I got skid steers. I got all this stuff.
Yeah.
Could have kind of done that even in the new location, but I don't operate that way.
Yeah.
I just can't. That's just how I am. So, my wife wasn't super thrilled about that, but it was how I operate. I work under pressure.
Yeah.
Right? I'm creative under pressure. So I think when people look at their setbacks, they have to understand that they suck. Okay. But you're still alive. You're breathing. You can move forward. What is next? What is the next opportunity? How do you turn that into something? Now I have all that failure. I could write a book about it.
Yep.
That became a bestseller. I created an academy. I created a coaching program. I did all that. So hey, that worked out pretty well, but I couldn't have planned that. I couldn't plan that at all.
No, most of the guys you're coaching, they're business people. Are they small or medium, large? What's your normal?
Yeah, they're small. They're anywhere from probably $500,000 a year gross revenue to maybe 10 million, somewhere right in that range. That's kind of my sweet spot where I can work with people the best.
Yeah. That's a good. So how are most people finding you, and how do you work with your clients?
Well, the big thing, Tim, is what a lot of people don't do. We're technicians or craftsmen, right? I could dig holes. Well, I started building ponds. Okay. Made sense. I got a hole, fill full of water, make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. But you do low voltage stuff, right? We get into all these areas that we do, and we're good at it. And we realize, like I did when the guy gave me the $1,000, I want all the money. Okay. I'm doing the work. So we start a business because the guy we're working for, we could do it better than them, we think. And we get going, but we don't really understand the business aspect, right? So what happens there, Tim, is you start to leave all kinds of money on the table. So you're making a little more money because you're kind of getting it all, but you don't really know what you're doing. You don't even know what a profit and loss statement is, right? We don't know how to follow that, the three simple things in that, right? So we don't really understand what we're doing. We know how to make money by charging, usually not enough, right? Because we kind of undervalue ourselves. So I really go in and start with some basics and start finding all the hidden profit for people. That's the big thing, because they're leaving all this, they don't know how to create more profit. And if you can't, well, you can't really grow. So, a lot of people, So
I'm a one-man show, and I am extremely good at what I do, but I can't, it's so hard for a dude like me to find somebody that I want to bring along, because it's going to cost me a fortune. To anybody who wants to make, 50, 75, $100 an hour, if they're that good, they're going to want to do it on their own. Mm-hmm. And I need somebody that good immediately to start, because I can't hold somebody's hand. In contracting, do you just have to suck it up for a couple of years and bite the bullet on that? Or
I'll tell you what I would do. And then again, this is just me. I would actually start watching what I do. I'm you, right? Mm-hmm. And start writing it down and documenting what I do. I mean, systemize it, right? Well, how do I actually do this? How does it begin? I mean, from getting out of the truck, right?
Yeah.
What do I do? What's first? What's second? What's fifth? What's ninth? Start doing that and just make some notes, just general notes during the day, even if it's, talking in your phone or writing it down, whatever, and start to build that so you have a process. Okay. Then you can get a little bit of time, even on the weekend, start looking and go, okay, this is right. Well, I kind of don't do that. I actually do it here. Get it dialed in. Now you've got a training program. Mm-hmm. You need to build yourself a training program for the next guy.
Yeah.
So you can teach, so you're not going to waste time. You can bring them in 30 days, let's say, someone who's got general knowledge, right? But you don't need some expert who's going to want 50 or $100 an hour. You don't have to do that. Bring them in and train them up, skill them up really, really quickly. But you got to do the early work, right? Because if you just bring them along, you're going to be thinking as you go, oh yeah, and by the way, you got to do this and this. You're going to notice you do all these things by instinct now, because you do it so well, that someone knew it. Why are you doing that? And why are you doing that? And why do you do that? And you'll be like, you'll just be frustrated. But if you build out your program, drop them into that, you'll get them up to speed quick. And then you'll start to get, okay, let him work. You go to the next thing. You go sell the next job. Get it started. It'll begin like that, right? You get in, make sure you're dialed in. Okay, I'll see you in 3 hours. Do this, this, and this, right? And they know, and then you come back. That would be your path, but it'll quickly scale. You get the guy, get him taken care of, and now you have a training program. So even if he leaves, because everybody leaves eventually, right? The next guy can do the same thing. Now you've got a way to duplicate yourself through the training. Maybe you need a second guy. And first guy is all good. He knows it. Now he takes the program. He brings up the next guy. Now you're not training anybody.
Yeah. I'm the guy who doesn't want to release control, because I'm like, shit, I can do it in, 5 hours, and it's going to take this guy 3 days to do it, and so.
Well, the thing is, again, you have to train them.
Yeah.
Right? They can be as good as you. Like, we all think we're the best. And I give people that, I give them that you are the best. Right.
Yeah.
But if someone's 95% as good as you, the customers don't know the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You just got to let go, because otherwise you'll never scale. You'll never have the freedom you need, because it's going to be all dependent on you. And you won't have a business to sell either. Let's say 10, 15 years, no one's going to buy you. You're not for sale.
That's the problem.
So you have no valuation on that business. But if you build training and you got other people doing it and you're just landing big contracts, maybe you got 4 more banks, different banks, you're the bank guy, you're doing all the stuff, right? You got all these great contracts because you're reeling those in, they're doing the work. Now you have something that's people are interested in buying, right?
Well, damn. The advice I knew I was going to get this morning, I was like, shit.
Yeah.
So you're a father of 6. Can we jump into that a little bit?
Yeah,
There's a lot of my my stuff is kind of built around just men and growth and challenges that we face and stuff like that. You got 6 kids. How did
that happen?
How did that happen?
Well, it's that podcast. Okay. No. So here's how I'll give you the kind of the high view of the whole story. So we were married 5 years, and then having trouble conceiving, all that stuff, right? So my wife said, well, let's go in the foster care program. Mm-hmm. Let's get in that, and we can maybe get an infant, and maybe we can adopt or something like that. So we did that. We took all the classes, which is a lot of classes and a lot of background checks. And holy cow, I thought it was tough getting the top secret in the Marine Corps. Foster parent, they put you. They were bringing up stuff I had forgotten about. Like I did. That was a long time ago. No, that was stupid then. That's all. It's okay. So anyways, we got through that, and then took the course. And about 6 months go by, and there's nothing. Then there's a call. And they said, hey, we got a baby, a newborn, day old. Mm-hmm. we're going to bring them by. We'll be by in 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, my wife calls me and goes, hey, they're bringing a baby over in like 45 minutes. So get
Wow.
home. So I got home and they came, a little car seat, little baby and some blankets, and a little bag of stuff and say, here you go. Okay, see ya.
Whoa.
People were like, hey, look at that little D'Angelo. So, and I'll tell you the best starter baby ever. And I mean that in total love. Like,
Yeah.
this kid slept through the night and I had one bottle and was like, oh, this is the piece of cake.
Oh, man.
He was this awesome little baby. And so then my wife goes, well, why don't we try in vitro?
Yeah.
So, okay, so we did that like right away. So whatever, 9 months later, so we had our daughter, right? So she's now, poof, there she is, Addie. And then we bring her home and the phone rings and it's the agency where we got our son. He said, hey, the mother of his mother had another baby boy. So I said, well, we'll take him. So we took him, right? And he was like 2 months premature. So he's like 3 weeks older than my daughter who was just born, right? So there's kind of technically our first set of twins. So then we did in vitro again, and my wife had twin boys.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So, and then of course, bring them home and the phone rings. The mother of the other two had another baby girl.
Wow.
So it was like, well, bring her over. So we had her too. And it was like, bam, it was like 6 and whatever, 3.5 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
So that was wild. Those 4 years, by year 5, I mean, I was near death. I'm telling you, I was tired.
How was your
My
wife?
wife.
Yeah.
She's way stronger than I am. Okay. I mean, I'm like trying to do stuff at night for her so she can sleep, and so I'm like, all right, because we had a couple, like 2 stories, you got to go up all these stairs, go to the different, I'm like, everyone in the family room, I got the big egg crate mattress thing,
Yeah.
But we're all sleeping down here. We just all slept in the family room.
Perfect.
Like all 8 of us. I reach over,
Wow.
stick a bottle in someone's mouth, change their diaper and that, whatever. So we got through, but I was literally like passing out at my desk. And my office was out behind my house, at the time. And my office manager said, just go take a nap or something. No, I got things to do. And then it was my son's, I think it was his 4th birthday, 4th or 5th. And I'm just sitting there with like the 1,000-yard stare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cause and my wife said, what is wrong with you? And I go, I haven't slept in like 10 months. I think I'm going to die. She's like, she goes, get over it. Just get over it. Okay. I'm like, here I'm complaining to her, right? She handles all the hard stuff, but I really was like, man, this is crazy. I mean, but then, you get through it and it's all good. And then, then we lost everything. We had to relocate and do all that stuff. So it was kind of neat. I mean, I say it was kind of neat in a way that, I don't know. It's just so unique. I love it because I'm like, this is totally me.
Yeah.
Doing something no one else will do.
At what point, in 08, 09, when did it first hit you? And what was your thought? Like, we're going to lose everything, Like,
yeah. Well, I think it was on its way anyways. And during 08 and then the end of 08, it really hit. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. And I really tried to limp through. And again, I'm like, man, it's just a matter of when. Might have been 3, might have been 6 months or something. But I don't think we're getting through 09.
Looking back at that time, do you think, was there something that you could have done differently leading up to that to set yourself up for?
Of course. Yeah, I could have done my business right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So-
what did you do wrong, man?
So here's what I did wrong was like I was making a ton of money, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had incredible margins. I mean, I'm the best what I could. No one could do what I do,
Yeah.
which means I can charge whatever I want.
Yep.
That's the reality, right? And people still thought it was a great deal, and I'm charging a ton. So, but then I'm like, hey, I got all this cash. Hey, I like that skid steer. It's only 50,000. I'll buy that. I buy it for cash.
Yeah.
I'll buy this for 25,000. I'll get an e-commerce website. It's only $41,000 to build this website. Okay, this is
It'd be $8 now.
yeah. It's like free, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like $8 a month, But I look at that like, okay, I got to get that done. Then here's the bad part. That was when did I build that? 05, 06? Yeah, maybe 05, 06, I'm doing this website. So websites are still, you weren't doing them by your own. There's no Wix and no any of that stuff, right? So like the guy builds it and they have all my steel sculptures and cool stuff I build. then I'm looking like, well, it's e-commerce. Like I have to, wait a minute. I don't make two of anything.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a bunch of benches. I'm not going to do, I made one of those. That's it. I'm done. I go, shut this thing down. So it was like 2 weeks after I should 41,000 flushed down the toilet.
Oh man.
You know, so like I'm whatever. I'll make more money. I'm making more money.
Yeah.
I'll do stuff. So it just was that kind of stuff. And I told people I had some great incredible clients. One was a billionaire, and he would give me advice, and I'm like, okay, Gary, yeah, whatever. It's what do you know? You own professional sports teams and manufacturing plants. You know how to build a water feature? No, you don't, of course. So that was a level of arrogance and ego I operated at. And so I really didn't take their advice, which was all the right advice. Another friend had said, I think maybe you need a bean counter, meaning like you need someone to like
an accountant
tell you what to do with this money because you're making all this money. But like, because think about this. So I use my book too. So I bought I already had a skid steer. I bought another one, more expensive, track, everything else, and $50,000. I said, everyone's like, well, but you own it. I go, yeah, but I could have leased that for the season for 4 or 5 months for like $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I would have had $45,000 to invest. Okay. And make money with do other things, same with everything else. So I'm like, I wasn't really smart. I wasn't having my money make money. I was just making more money,
So if you had to go back and do it all over again, what would you do different? Would you get into the same space? Would you go completely different route?
So like if you transported me back in time and I was going to do the same thing, I would do what I teach everyone now is I'd start with the end in mind, start with the exit strategy. What am I actually how long do I want to do this and how much do I want for it to get out? That's what, and then reverse engineer everything. And what that means is I'm going to go 20 years. I'll go 20 years, but then I want a $20 million exit. Great. I'm going to get out. So what does that look like? But at the same time, I got to reverse engineer. What would I do today? When do you put the first person on, right? You start to lay it out. But here's another issue I'd look at. It's like, okay, I'm going to get to a 7-figure income. In this business, if I'm doing that, I'm going to be asking for 20 million on the way out. I should be making at least $1 million a year. I said, but then when I get to the exit and I leave and I get my 20 million or whatever I get, what don't I get? I'm going to lose that $1 million a year. Right. So now every year, I'm not going to have another $1 million. So what I want to do is start to use that money I had and start to acquire assets, income generating assets. Right. Because now I need $83,000 a month to replace that $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Right. So I can start to build that over a 20-year period or a 10-year period, whatever it is. What do I need to do? How many homes do I need to buy? How to invest in this and this and this? Start to understand that and start creating that. So when exit time does come, and now I've built a great business that's systemized, runs itself. I'm just the guy out front, legitimately, and it's okay. Everything else is being taken care of. Now the guy gives me my 20 million, great exit, and I'm still making my $1 million a year or whatever that is in my assets. If I never worked again, I got $1 million a year coming in with my passive income, plus my big exit money. I can now reinvest and maybe do another business or whatever I want to do. So that would be one thing I would change. It's a big thing. Anytime you can start with the exit strategy, and I tell people there's 2 times, Tim, when you want to do it. Before you start your business, that's the best time. The second best time is right now.
Yeah.
Like what do you actually want to do with this? Where do you want to go? Because if you don't know that, it's like if I'm in my car in New York and I want to go to California, all I know is to kind of go west, right? But the bad news is if that's all I know, I'm probably going to see all of America and end up at the Pacific or at the, the Gulf of Mexico thinking I'm at the Pacific because I don't really have a map. I don't have any plan. I'm just going to kind of go and hopefully I find my way. And that's what a lot of business owners do. Guys like us who get in who are good at what we do, we get to next Friday, we get the payroll, maybe we get a helper on, got to go through a few of those because we never really planned the training, right? So he's no good. He was good for a little while, but he's no good. And you don't realize they're leaving because you're a hot mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they have no structure. They have nothing. They're like, I can't work here. This is insane. Every day is a mystery. Yeah. I don't want a job like that. If you want someone who wants to work like for a living, they want to have a job. They don't own a business. They don't want chaos. They don't want mystery.
Yeah. Well, I've been there. I've had, at one time I had 7 employees. I had, 4 installers and 3 salespeople.
Yeah.
And I was like 27 years old and I didn't know, I got a GED, man. It's like,
Right. Right.
but I ran it for a while,
Yeah.
but the company I was subbing for, they changed brands and everything, went to ADT, and overnight lost everything. Wasn't much, but
Right. But it's still there's another thing for business. Like all your contracts with one company, you're in a bad place.
Yep.
Guys I remember back in the day with Home Depot, this is back in the 90s, early 90s, they're really growing, they're doing their thing. But I remember a cement guy, had the Portland cement. I got this Home Depot contract. I'm supplying them with all this. I go, well, how much? Well, they're doing like 50% of my business now. I'm going to go, dude, that's not a good place to be.
yeah.
They're going to squeeze you for pennies. Like when you get the Walmart contract, that's not a good thing.
No.
because you're so dependent on that. You gear up for the production and you have all this cost and they know that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start to squeeze you penny by penny by penny. Pretty soon you can't even break even. They will bankrupt you. They will bankrupt you.
And that's where I am. I'm a subcontractor. I'm not getting squeezed. I'm actually going the other way and charging more and more and more and getting rid of customers, some big customers of mine that I've had for a long time, but it's just, I'm one guy. I can't do anymore, and so I have taken basically the best customer and said, okay, I'm throwing all my, whatever, hats in the ring or whatever they call it.
Yeah. But what you could do is take that best customer. And this is some free coaching advice. I'm in the mentor position
man.
here.
Appreciate that.
but take that customer and break down exactly who they are.
Yeah.
Why are they your best customer? Right. Down to know everything about them and go, okay, let's go find those people. That's your next customer is going to be just like them.
Yeah.
Could be something completely different, right? As far as what they do, but understand that and start going after those people. Because if you're in that position, you can do it now. That's a great place to be. Charge what you want, increase your rates, whatever that is, but go for the ideal customers. That's what people need to understand. You can't be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
You've been down that road.
So on the exit strategy, you said you do some investments in real estate. If a guy has, like me, I don't have any in real estate investments or anything like that. Is that the route you would go, or would you go to the market or diversify? What would you do?
You have to do what interests you. It's called investor DNA. It's like some people are not into real estate. It's just that doesn't do anything, so they go into something else. They're in crypto. They're in the markets. They're investing in other businesses. They want startup funding for other businesses, and they're getting a percentage. Hey, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars, but I want 25%.
Yeah.
So you get that, but they run it. They're the subject matter experts, but you're the funding, right? You can do that as well. So, and sometimes that's a better place for people, because they understand that more and they do maybe real estate or rentals or whatever that is. So you have to really figure out what you're into, because remember, things you don't pay attention to tend to go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Money, especially a spouse tends to go away. If you don't pay attention to them. Okay. So money's no difference. Money's, can be something else. So you gotta be interested to some aspect that you're going to pay attention to it. There's no set it and forget it. That kind of stuff.
What other kind of advice do you got for guys out there right now? They're trying to figure out, like, they want to get into business, but they don't really know the best way to start. Is it just something you got to be into, like, hey, I got a shovel and a wheelbarrow and I'm just going to go for it? Or would you do the weekend thing? What would you do?
You really, so you're talking like side hustle, right? That's the name now.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you got to get into business somehow. So you got to start.
Right. So you're going to start there. The problem, Tim, is people get into that and that basically turns into a hobby, or they're making a little extra cash, and that's cool. And then it dies. It dies on the vine, because you have to have intention. You're going to probably have to start on the side, right? If you're not capitalized or anything else, you got to go start doing work and getting paid for it. But you have to get that exit strategy. It's no different.
Yeah.
Like if you want to start a side hustle, this is the first step of getting a full-time business. Go see if people actually pay you for what you do. Right? That's how you become a professional, right? You're paid. Someone pays you for something, you're a professional. All right. Go make sure you can be a pro, right? Because you pay me. But now where do I go with that? How do I get the next client? What are my numbers when I can leave my job? Cause if you now you can jump into something and Ray, it goes and you're going to get there, but that usually doesn't work. You know, it's hard. I mean, it can work. I'll take it back because I just kind of did it, but
Yeah.
it's a struggle. If you're young and single, best time to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. If you got 3 kids and a wife and a home, and there's going to be some more limitations.
Yeah.
You're just jumping off the end there. So, I could live in a cardboard box and make my business go. When I was single, it didn't matter. But so you got to understand your situation. But you really want to look at that and then really forecast, like, where should I be in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years? Like, where am I going? You have to track what you're doing. You got to have some kind of metrics to follow that shows you that you're making money. You're on the right path. Oh, maybe you need to pivot. Oh, this isn't working, whatever. So there's a lot to that. I do a thing. I have a whole automated program for startups if they want to get into it. It's like $100 a month.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it shows them everything to get their business started right and launch and do that. It'll take you all the way through it, month by month and stuff is really great. So there's things like that out there too. So if you're really looking to start a business, take a little time, a little tiny investment, like $100 a month.
Mm-hmm.
It'll exponentially increase your probability of success.
How do people get a hold of your program?
SharpenTheSpiritCoaching.com.
Perfect.
One-stop shop. Yeah.
I'll add that into my description links. And are you on any social media?
Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X.
All right.
Yeah, you can find me there. Am I super active there? I don't know. I'm busy doing things that matter.
Making money.
But it's cool.
Yeah.
I've been on there, so you can find me. Yeah, you bet.
Right on. Richard, I appreciate the time today. You got any last advice for anybody out there listening?
If you're going to do it, just understand it's going to be hard. But doing hard things is how you succeed. You don't succeed by doing easy things.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just embrace it and embrace the suck, as they say, and do it. Just push forward and get it done. Also, find help, whether that's a coach, a mentor. Again, it depends on your position where you're in. Mm-hmm. Don't do what I did my first 20 years. I refused to take help. I was going to do it all by myself. I did it. It was twice as long, twice as hard, but I did it kind of, and then I lost it. Right. So find help. Do not just check that ego, put it in a box, man. Ask people to help you. People have been where you want to go. Those are the people you want to connect with.
Absolutely. Richard, I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.
Bet, Tim. Thank you.